So these exercise videos were born out of the pandemic. We were doing virtual learning. I knew the students were at home. They probably weren't getting a lot of exercise. So I wanted to, first of all, get them moving, help them build some endurance, and then help them develop a love of exercise so that they can begin to do these things on their own at home. The format that I'm using is a high intensity interval training format. I'll always start with a warm up, and then I do 3 cycles of 6 exercises each. There's no magic in that. You could do more or fewer cycles, more or fewer exercises. I like this because it ends up being about 12 to 13 minutes, and that seems to be a sweet spot for the students. What I do like for sure is the 20 seconds of exercise followed by 15 seconds rest. That seems to be a nice pace for all grade levels. I strongly recommend that you use the website canva.com to add slides to your presentation. They look really nice and they don't take any artistic ability. You can register for a free account, and then they have an educator account that you can sign up for, and that gives you access to tons of free material. By far the best thing that I found during the pandemic. So big shout out to our art teacher at Smith Springs, Rachel Stockard, for hooking me on to canva.com. So in Canva, we're going to go to the top right-hand corner and click Create a Design. Then we're going to click Education Presentation. And you'll see that there are a lot of different templates. I use this one called Science Lesson because I just like the look of it. And I use this particular slide. Now, I don't want all the science stuff in there, so I can click on each item and delete that. And then I can click on the text, and I want to ungroup that. So I can go up and click those 3 dots, hit ungroup. Now we have 2 separate things of text. And I'm going to get rid of the bottom part of the text. I really like this font here, so I'm going to use this, and I'm going to type in jumping jacks because that is an exercise that we're going to do. And I'm going to make it 2 lines, but I want it bigger. So I'm going to select all, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to make it huge. Now, you can move this anywhere you want. And the great thing about it is once you start moving things, lines will pop up. It helps you line things up in kind of visually pleasing ways. Now, if I want to add education elements or exercise elements, I go into Elements and I'm typing in exercise. Well, I like this one, so I'm going to bring this over. I can resize this any size I want, and then I can put it wherever I want. Let's find another element. Oh, I like this heart element. So I can resize that. I can move that anywhere I want. Again, I'm not an artist, but this is already starting to look pretty good. Oh, I like this. This is kind of a cooperative vibe going on. So I'll resize that, put it wherever I want. And now here we go. We have a nice slide. Now to download, I'm going to hit that download button. I'm going to save it as a PNG. I'm going to download it. I'm going to go up here and I'll open it up. And if I go to the share button, I'm going to click Save Image. And that's going to allow me to save it into my camera roll. So the next thing you want to do is to record your exercises. And I recorded and edited everything on my iPhone, so you don't need a fancy camera. I recommend that you record for about 25 seconds. That gives you some wiggle room to edit. Don't worry about the audio, like if you're breathing hard, which I did. We'll edit that out later. So the next thing we want to do is to record and edit our timers. These timers allow students to see how much time is left in a particular exercise, and they serve as a great motivational tool. To do this, I just recorded my screen on my iPhone, and I set up a timer for 20 seconds. And so I recorded this timer, and I'm not worried about all the other stuff on the screen because I'll go back and edit it here in a second. After I have it recorded, I can go in and I can trim anything off the front, trim anything off the back so I can get it exactly the length that I want. And then once I have the length, I can also crop everything out. So all I want is just the timer, and I crop that. Then I hit done and save video as new clip. Now we're ready to create our iMovie project, and we're going to start by adding and trimming the slides that we developed in Canva. I suggest that you create a new album in your camera roll and put all of your slides, your exercise videos, your timers there, and that'll make it easier once we start adding them to our project. So we open up iMovie, click on the plus sign, click on Movie, and down at the bottom we're going to click on Create Movie. And once we've done that, we're ready to add our slides. I'm going to click on that Photos album, and I saved everything to an album that I called Exercise Videos. So I'm going to click on that, and there are all my slides that I made in Canva. So I'm going to add Workouts with Mr. Levy, and then what am I going to add next? I'm going to add Warm Up, and then I'm going to add Jogging, and then I'm going to add Ready, Begin. And now I am ready to trim those slides. I want my slides to be 3 seconds in length. So I'm going to tap on that, and then up at the top, you'll see the timer. And that's how I know how long each one is. So I tap on it. It was 6 seconds. So I'm going to trim it down to 3 seconds. And then I'll go to the next one. I want it to be 3 seconds as well. And I will do all of my slides until each one is at 3 seconds. And that just makes everything flow really well. It's not too long, it's not too quick. That 3 seconds seems to be a good amount of time. And now we're ready to add the Ken Burns effect if we want some movement on our slides. So the button is right there. Right now it's enabled. If we want to disable it and have zero movement, this is what it looks like. You have a nice static image. But what if we want it to move? We can enable it, and then we can pinch to position the start. So let's say I want it to start kind of zoomed in. Then I can hit pinch to position the end, and let's set the ending point. Now let's see how that looks. Okay, so not too bad, but I actually want the ending point to be where I can see the entire slide. So I'm going to reset that. I'm going to pinch out. Now let's watch. Now I've got my movement, but it ends with me being able to see the entire slide. Now we're ready to add and trim our video, as well as add and trim our picture-in-picture timers. So this time I'm going to press on the video button since we're adding video. And I'm going to go down to my album, Exercise Videos, and whoa, I've got a lot of exercises. How do I know which one that I want to select? Well, I can hit this play button to preview it. Oh yeah, that's the one that I want. Now I can hit the plus button and import that in. And now we're ready to trim it. Same way, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to trim it back. It's almost at 20 anyway. I'll trim it to exactly 20 seconds. And now I want to add my timer. So I click on the 20-second timer and then click on the 3 dots. Then click on Picture in Picture. Now I'm ready to make it look exactly like I want it to look. And I notice that it initially has a white border around it. I don't really want the white border, so I'm going to click on this square to get rid of the white border. Now that it's gone, I notice that it's kind of chopped off. So I'm going to pinch to zoom to make sure that everything is in the frame. So I pinch to zoom, and now I can move it. I can drag to position and pinch to resize. So I'm going to resize it, get it exactly where I want it on the screen. And now I have my picture in picture. And now I'm ready to add my next slide. We just did 20 seconds of exercise, and so I want to add 15 seconds of rest. And I titled this slide Dance or Rest. Some students don't need the rest, they don't want to rest, so I give them the option of dancing or even continuing to exercise. So I want this slide to be 15 seconds, so I'm going to stretch it out. Once I have it at 15 seconds, I go back and I'm going to trim up this picture-in-picture. Make sure that it lines up with the edge of the exercise video. And now I'm ready to add another picture-in-picture timer. So I go into Video and to my exercise videos, and I'm going to click on our 15-second timer, add it as a picture-in-picture. And again, I'm going to get rid of this white border, and I'm going to pinch to zoom to make sure everything is in there so I can see. And then I'm going to drag to position and pinch to resize. And once I have it exactly like I want it, we are good to go. This particular slide I want to be static, so I disable the Ken Burns effect. And now I'm ready to add our cycle 1 slide. So I've got our cycle 1 get ready slide. I trim that up to 3 seconds. And then I am ready to add. Well, I want to go back and trim up our picture-in-picture timer to make sure that it lines up with the slide. After our cycle 1 get ready slide, then I'm ready to add our exercise. And our first exercise is going to be the windmill. So I add that in and then trim it back to 3 seconds. And now I'm ready to add in our windmill video. So I go to video and I'm looking for that one. Remember, I can always hit the play button to preview. Yep, that's the one that I want. So now I can add that. I want to trim that to 20 seconds. Once I have it at exactly 20 seconds, now I go back to the beginning and I want to add our 20-second picture-in-picture timer. And once I have that, I'm going to highlight that. Again, I want to get rid of this white box, this border around the edge. And then I'm going to pinch to zoom. And I'm going to drag to position and pinch to resize. And once I have it exactly like I want it, I go back and play just to make sure that it doesn't cover up too much of my arm. Okay, that's about where I want it. And we are good to go. Now I've got 20 seconds of exercise, so I want to go back and add in my 15 seconds of rest or dance. So I add that slide in and I trim that out to 15 seconds. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning and see that I need to trim up my picture-in-picture to line it up with the edge of that video. Now I need to add in my 15-second picture-in-picture timer. So we'll go back in and find that. Add it as a picture-in-picture. And then once it's there again, I want to get rid of the white border and then pinch to zoom and then drag to position and pinch to resize. And once I have it set where I want it, I click off the timeline to check my work. Okay, it's not bad, but I want to move it just a little bit, so I'm going to move it over just a touch and disable the Ken Burns effect. Now we're ready to add and trim our music and add and trim our sound effects. This time we're going to click on Audio instead of Media in the bottom right-hand corner. This gives us the option to add pre-recorded soundtracks, and this is most of what I use. We can also add music from our Apple Music collection. And we can also add sound effects. That's what I'm going to add here because I want to add some kids cheering. So I find that and add it in. And now I'm ready to add a pre-recorded soundtrack. I find the track that I want and add it to my timeline. Then I'm going to move the kids cheering track over just a beat because I don't want it to come in immediately. And then I'm going to move my music track to the foreground and listen back. I like how that sounds, so I'm going to keep it. And now I'm ready to go in and mute the audio on my exercise videos so you don't hear all my heavy breathing. So I click on the video in my timeline, click on the volume button at the bottom of the screen, and then slide the volume from 100% down to 0. And this will mute that track. And now I'm ready to add a new song. The first thing I want to do is highlight the existing music track and then click on Split. Once I've done that, I can then hit the trash can in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and that will get rid of the rest of that track, and it creates room to add in another musical track. So I go back into soundtracks and I pick out a different song. I try to have a different song for each exercise. I like that, so I add it into my timeline. I click on it and hit Split, and then I want to mute everything that has happened up to this point. So I slide that down to 0, and I click on the new track, and I'm going to move it up to the foreground. Now let's take a listen. That's more space than I would like in between songs, so I'm going to go back and adjust. And now let's listen to see how that sounds. I like that much better, and of course you can always adjust it to your own personal taste. Now we're ready to add our voiceovers. All we have to do is go over here to the left-hand side of the screen and click on this microphone. And then we can hit record and it'll give us a countdown. Hey friends, it's Mr. Levy, and it's time to get in shape. So find a safe space, get your mind right, get your body right, and let's get ready for a great workout. Now we can review that. Hey friends, it's Mr. Levy, and it's time to get in shape. So find a safe space, get your mind right, get your body right, and let's get ready for a great workout. If I didn't like that, I could hit retake, but I'm going to hit accept, and we will move forward. Now let's take a look at our transitions. When you click on this button in between each slide, you pull up all your options for your transitions. You can have no transition, a themed transition, dissolve, slide, wipe, or fade. You can also adjust the time, and you can even have a sound effect. I just keep it at the default, which is dissolve at 1 second. Let's take a look at a few of them just to give you an idea of what they look like. So this first one will be a dissolve. And then we're going to go to slide. And this one will be a wipe. And this last one will be dissolve. And of course you can add these according to your own personal preference. And now we're ready to give our movie a name. When we're finished editing, we're going to click Done in the top left-hand corner. Then we can give it whatever name we want. In this case, I'm going to call this Episode 1. And now we're ready to save our video. Down at the bottom, I can hit the Share Sheet, and this gives me a lot of different options. I could save it to Files, to a folder, but in this case, I want to save video because I want it to go to my camera roll. So it's going to export my movie, and once it has exported into my camera roll, then I'm ready to export it to YouTube. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you can create one. And once you have your channel created, you go into the channel dashboard, and we're just going to click on the upload button, and we're going to select the file out of our camera roll, and we are going to add that. We're going to export it up it requires a title, so I'm going to call this Workouts with Mr. Levy, Episode 1. Of course, you can call this whatever you want. You can also add a description here. I usually do that later. I'll also add a thumbnail later. I usually click, yes, it's made for kids. Then I click on Next. There's a lot of things that you can do. I keep it simple, so I just keep clicking Next. And now you can list it private, unlisted, or public. I used to do it unlisted, but then I got so many requests from families, I went public so everybody could find it on their own outside of class time. So let's preview what we have so far and see how it all fits together. Hey friends, it's Mr. Levy, and it's time to get in shape. So find a safe space, get your mind right, get your body right, and let's get ready for a great workout. So I like how that turned out. I'll keep that and then build on top of it. And I believe this should give you all the tools that you need to create your own exercise video. Let's listen just a little bit more, and then I'll take any questions that you might have.